Hey, good evening. Welcome into Feldco Football Recap Live. I'm David Kaplan. That's Tom Waddle, and our special guest co-host is the good kid. Olin's on vacation. The good kid is here. Johnny Handsome. John Jurkovic.
I got my fat fingers. Thank you, guys. It's great to be here today.
What
Great
better time for this show as well, as this is Bears-Packers week, right? Nobody better than the good kid.
Nobody.
I appreciate that.
So let's start with you, good kid. Coming off what you saw on Sunday, I watched the All 22. Spent a good hour and a half going through different plays. Tommy and I conversed. That, for me, was the best I've ever seen Justin Fields look. He looked every bit the part of a franchise quarterback. What did you think?
Well, he's had a 300-yard game in the past. I know he had a game where he hit DJ Moore for 235 individual yards. So I've seen him play well, but I think from start to finish, with some of the throws that he was making, he was throwing with confidence, especially the one DJ Moore in the corner. I thought he was patient in the pocket, and he's waiting for patterns to develop, letting things clear and letting something underneath come across the field. He had the protection, so it was nice. And when the protection did break down, I thought they had him dead to rights a couple of times back there, but he found a way. I always say he could find a way to make something out of nothing, but sometimes he could find a way of making nothing out of something too. But he's starting to eliminate those nothing he's starting to eliminate the bad ones, and he's starting to eliminate those negative plays that he had sometimes. So I think he's heading in the right direction. I mean, listen, he's not your classic style quarterback. Nobody's going to ever confuse him with the pure pocket passer. Nobody will put Justin Fields and Peyton Manning next to each other and say, look at these two. Don't they look like similar quarterbacks? And they're not. The closer he can become Lamar Jackson Jackson's probably going to win his second NFL MVP this year. And, you look at some of the stats, but I'm just looking at like the trend. Where's the line at? Is the line still going up? For me, the line's still going up. He's still getting better. I think once it clicks in the NFL, that's what you need. You need it to click for you. He's starting to do it against some better defenses, and I know it didn't look great in Cleveland, but Cleveland was a monster defense that was coming after him. That was a different animal. But Atlanta was a pretty damn good defense. You're going to face a decent defense coming up here in Green Bay. So I just look for repetition of performance and stacking some performances on top of each other. And the better he plays, the more options the Chicago Bears have as they move forward. And that's all I want. Just give the Bears choices on what they might be able to do. And one of those choices for me clearly has become, hey, we can keep him and we can move forward with him. May 2nd is when you've got to pick up the 5th-year option. The commitment to Justin Fields at that point is only $20 million and change for the 5th year. So that doesn't blow anybody out of the water, and it certainly doesn't destroy your salary cap. And then the next big decision you'd have to make on him is, would you want to extend a contract offer for him for a 4 or 5 year period? That's not a decision that needs to be made this year, but they might if he keeps playing well and somebody wants him. If Atlanta comes down the pipeline, Minnesota comes down the pipeline, something. If you don't believe he's your quarterback, then you should have no problems trading him to Minnesota.
It's funny.
By the way, this is our 4 seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric game breakdown. Tommy, you and I were conversing, as Jurko was, about the 37-17 win. The Bears were dominant, man, but Justin was great.
I think it was, I told you this earlier, there was no doubt in my mind, and I knew that the film was just going to reinforce how I felt Sunday watching him play. I thought it was the best he'd played, most complete game I've seen him play. And then you watch it again, and it was just reinforced. And it's not so much the numbers. Like, as Johnny said, like, he's had a 300-yard game in the past. He's thrown for more touchdown passes. He only threw for 1. He ran for 1. It's the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet necessarily is where I saw most of the growth. And it's impressive because, like, if I would have sat you and walked you through the second half of the Cardinal game, you would have run to the draft day and turned in a card for Caleb Williams. I mean, it was just as good as the first half was. The second half to me was not a good 30 minutes for Justin. but then to come out and play the way he did against the Falcons, and listen, it was stuff like Johnny said, trusting what you're seeing, dropping back. And my biggest concerns with him haven't been about, some of the stuff that others are concerned about. My concerns are that he doesn't function efficiently in the pocket, that he walks into sacks instead of shuffling left or shuffling right, climbing the pocket and creating throwing lanes, that he doesn't trust what he sees. He's not tremendously accurate. He's not willing to push the ball downfield. And he goes stretches at times and not taking advantage of open receivers. That's what's bothered me. None of that was on display against the Falcons. Again, I was thrilled with what I saw. And it started the opening play of the game where they got a little combo route where your outside receiver kind of runs a post and he runs a little, it's not quite a wheel route, but Justin sees it. Absolutely. He's comfortable in the pocket. He trusts what he's reading, and he throws a beautiful ball to DJ. And Johnny's been asking for this for years. Push the ball downfield.
Go long.
And I think a lot of people have been on Luke Getsy for not pushing the ball downfield. Look, there are times when there are plenty of opportunities to push the ball downfield. You can call it all day long. If the quarterback's not willing to do it,
right,
the ball's not going to be delivered downfield. But to kind of summarize, I loved what I saw in terms of how he felt in the pocket, how he handled the pocket. I loved his desire to push the ball downfield. My favorite play of the entire game was the first play of the second half. And I've been saying this for now 2 years. He's got to learn what NFL open is and throw with anticipation and be willing to take chances on man routes down the field. And what he had DJ Moore run a deep in route, about an 18, 20-yard dig route. DJ did a brilliant job creating a little bit of space by leaning on the corner. He cuts across the middle of the field because it's man coverage. There's a void there. And Justin throws the ball even before DJ comes out of his break. So I think I've only seen him attempt that throw one other time. It was against the Lions a couple of weeks ago. Ball got batted down at the line of scrimmage. But just the mere fact that he was willing to push the ball into that void and take that chance, to me, is progress. And obviously it was a well-thrown ball, and it was a huge play that set the tone again in the second half. So, look, I could sit here and I do, Cap, and Johnny, I'll tell you when he's not good. And there's no emotion attached.
Well, it's apparent. It's apparent when he's not good.
Yes, but I'm also going to sit here and tell you when he's good, and that's the best I've seen Justin play as a Bear. It was the most complete and the most impressive performance I've seen from him in his almost 3 years.
All right, let's do Justin's numbers. It's called our Justin Fields Winging It, brought to you by West Town Bakery and OK Dispensary. 20 of 32, 268, a tutty. He ran one in, and he had 45 yards on the ground, and he was outstanding. No negative plays, didn't fumble it, didn't throw a pick. And I thought, as Tommy said, I agreed, best I have ever seen him play in a Bears uniform. Again, brought to you by West Town Bakery. And by the way, we did bake these during the holiday. This is their cannabis-infused fudge brownie mix, available exclusively at West Town Bakery. Oh, baby, is it good. I had the week off, and I ate a tray of those things. It was really good.
Oh, yeah. Eating the weed, baby. That's what we do.
Oh, it was great. Woke up, slept like a baby, all good.
I can imagine. You know, that vertical principle that Tommy talks about, you've got to be able to stretch teams, in the passing game, you got to be able to stretch teams deep, short, you've got to be able to go and hit all your combinations that you want to do. But when you start early and you start going long early, that really gets them on the back foot, and it gets them thinking conservatively. Same thing with the run. You've got to be able to go outside left, outside right. You got to run some counters where it makes it look like you give an action, come back. The inside trap is always a great play, especially against aggressive defensive tackles. I thought Atlanta, the weakness they had on their defense was their defensive tackles. I thought the Bears took advantage of them because of that. 98 doesn't look like an NFL player for the Atlanta Falcons. And Lucas Patrick and the guys inside, Tevin Jenkins and Harris, looked like they were taking advantage of them. Nate Harris had a little trouble through the game, but you've got to be able to go deep. You've got to be willing to go deep. Even if it's an incomplete pass, it doesn't make a difference.
And to build on that real quick, I think some of Justin's – I think he's been kind of self-programmed to not take a lot of chances, because what they're asking him to do is please don't turn the ball over. And then that thought goes through your mind. And then you start it starts working against you. You have to take these chances. It's what the league's all about. And if they're not complete, you still got to keep, if they're good concepts and they're good sound decisions, you got to push the football. Like the post route that he throws to Tyler Scott is a beauty. Tyler Scott, to me, is a rookie. He's got a long way to go. He doesn't track the ball as well as you need to track the ball in this league. It's a beautiful throw. It was
He doesn't need to jump.
He doesn't. You're right, Johnny.
Don't leave your feet. What are you leaving your feet for? You leave your feet. That's why you don't get the touchdown in the end zone.
That's right.
Stay on the ground. Reach up for the ball. Only jump and leave the ground when you have to jump and leave the ground.
And the key part to this whole thing, guys, is Justin would not have even thrown that ball 2-3 weeks ago. For whatever reason, I want you to take these chances. I don't know why. You go back to the second half of the Cardinal game where the ball's intercepted because he's throwing it to Khalil Herbert in the corner. DJ Moore is wide open on the skinny post. Now, full disclosure, I don't know what they're teaching him. I don't know what they're asking him to do with regard to progressions. But if you ask me, my first look is to my best player on the skinny post. There was a safety that was completely out of the picture at that time, and he didn't throw it. A week later, he basically, in a similar concept, not totally, but he throws the post in the middle of the field without a safety.
It's a dual read. It's two reads. Do I go here or do I go there? This week he made the better read.
Yes, he made the throw.
And the interception to Herbert, if he puts the ball at the back pylon, and with only Herbert having a chance to catch the ball, like he did to DJ Moore this week.
It's either a touchdown or an incomplete.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. When he got conservative, he threw it toward the front pylon. That's where the guy had the chance and the opportunity to make the play.
So I would say, guys, I'm hoping you go up to Green Bay, cut it loose, take these chances, and you may throw an incompletion. You may throw an interception. But if the play is sound and it's being executed in the proper fashion by the players, take the chance, go through your reads, trust what you see, and cut it loose. And it's not always going to be perfect, but you have to play. I'll say this too. I heard Johnny say this on the show today. Can we give Luke Getsy some credit as well? You don't score 37 points on a game plan. Like, there were guys running wide open over the course of the entire game. They had a good concept. They were running crossers, shallow crossers, deep crossers. They took advantage of a Falcons team that wanted to play man coverage. They were getting beat from the jump, and they stayed in their man coverage, and they paid the price for it. But I heard Johnny say it today on the show. Luke Getsy, look, when it's bad, you can't just blame the coordinator and make excuses for the quarterback. When it's good, you give the quarterback a ton of credit, but you also acknowledge it was a really good game plan that was executed properly.
Okay, Tyler Campbell says Getsy called his best game. Atlanta's physically and mentally soft, but Getsy's best as a play caller. So let me ask you this question.
You know why it's the best game plan that he has called all year? Because it was executed perfectly.
And the quarterback was willing to throw the ball where it needed to go. Everybody looks like a genius when you do that. Everybody.
Okay, so here's my question. Ian Rappaport says Eberflus is likely to return. Let's assume that happens, that he's back.
It will.
Okay, let's assume that Justin comes back and they trade that top pick, get a cachet of whatever, and they roll with him. And they say, you know what? We're not going to give him his $250 million now, but we're going to pick up the fifth-year option and see where it goes. Do you change coordinators? My problem with that is, so I'm asking him to learn the Georgia offense, transfer to Ohio State, learn the Ohio State offense, learn Matt Nagy's offense, learn Luke Getsy's offense, 5 of them in 7 years. That ain't good.
Yeah, my concerns are only with that in the NFL. And, he would have another offensive scheme coming in here, which would not be the best of all worlds. Hey, it's got to be between those two guys. Those two guys got to sit down with each other and figure out what the hell's going on. Can they trust each other? Do they believe in each other? That's the question. You sit them down, and then you decide if they can't get along with each other, who do you keep? Do you keep the player or do you keep the OC? That's the decision you make. The problem is The guys love Fields. The players love Fields.
Does that matter if in Ryan Poles' equation?
100%. It should matter. It should matter. But some guys have gone about the business. If they think the guy can't play up to snuff, they find a way to get rid of him anyway. But I think it matters because the guy's got to believe in him. And if you bring in another quarterback and that quarterback doesn't play as well as Justin Fields was playing and is not as dynamic as Justin Fields is, now all of a sudden everybody on that field loses confidence. You lose the locker room. That's not the best thing in the world to have happen.
I think there's an element of that, but I don't think you can overvalue that with a team where they are right now. Because look, I am thrilled by what I saw on Sunday. There are still some issues, guys. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 100% I feel like all problems are solved. They have issues against better defenses, and this was a good Atlanta defense. They were a top 10 defense, so that you get high marks for that. They have struggled, and he has struggled in crunch time, and crunch time is the fourth quarters. Those numbers are not as good as they need to be. I can't sit here and tell you that it's going to be all blue skies and sunshine going forward. So while I'll take the pulse of the locker room and how people feel about Justin, and everyone feels good about him. He's a good kid. He's a hard worker. He's a good leader. There's nothing that you can say bad about him on that front. The question you just still have to ask, we've been asking this now for 2 months. Is there a guy in the draft with the first overall selection that you believe is
makes you better
and makes you better and can take you where Justin can't take you? That's what it comes down to. If the answer is yes, you pivot and you draft that guy, in my opinion. If the answer is no, or you're uncertain, then you stay the course, you trade the pick, and you do leave yourself some way to get out of it so you don't overcommit to a player that still hasn't earned the long-term contract, and you move forward. That's, to me, is that's what's on Ryan Poles' desk. Is
one of our
guys better than the guy I have and can take me somewhere that this guy can't? And if the answer is yes, then you draft that guy. If the answer is no, or you're uncertain, then you move forward with Justin. As Johnny said earlier, too, like, there's nothing bad that comes from Justin playing well. Either it reassures you that he's the guy going forward, or it makes him even more valuable in the trade market.
By the way, one of our commenters says his name is Ryan Poles and Fields and Matter saying.
I called it 5 weeks ago. I had a feeling and an inkling. I sensed a turnaround. I sensed some better football being played. And, it's not always perfect, but I thought both of them were going to be here. So I made the prediction 5 weeks ago, just on a gut feeling that I saw from one of the games. I don't even know if the Bears won that game, but I just had a nice feeling about what was happening.
Are you more confident in one prediction or the other?
I'm more confident in Eberflus staying. I'd say I'm 95% confident in Eberflus staying. I'm 71% confident in Fields staying. So, again, if somebody might come to you and just knock you off your socks and say, or knock you out of your socks by giving you a trade offer that you got to go, yes, we'll take that. Somebody might do that to you. And if they do, then you've got to be able to identify the quarterbacks. Now, I'm going to be putting a quarterback judge and ranking together. Once the offseason comes in, sit back and look at some film and do some strengths and some weaknesses of the college quarterbacks. Tommy, this year you've got 8 wide receivers that got first-round grades on them. You might have to do an analysis on the wide receivers.
It's funny you mention that, Johnny, because we've talked about this, Cap. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I do think he's one of the best I've seen come through in a long time. I'm not married to the concept that you have to draft him. If for whatever reason you don't come away with Marvin Harrison Jr.
They like Malik Neighbors at LSU a lot, the Bears.
The kid from Washington is a fabulous player.
Rome Odunze, awesome.
You can find wide receivers. Can you find one that's as potentially elite as Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Don't find Kevin White. Yeah, don't find Kevin White.
Yeah, don't find Kevin White. That's a good policy. But you can find guys. So if for whatever reason you get through this draft in April and you don't get Marvin Harrison Jr., you can still find guys that are true difference makers at the position.
All right, let's do our player and play of the game, brought to you by our friends at Dr. Pepper. I've got my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar right here. Player of the game, Justin Fields, baby. He earned it. He deserves it. He gets it. I thought Khalil Herbert was really good, and Tyreek Stevenson was really good, and the O-line, shout out to Olin, was really good. But Justin Fields is our Dr. Pepper player of the game. And our play of the game, Justin was part of it. I thought the throw to DJ Moore with the snow coming down like a snow globe was freaking sensational. He threw a dime in the back corner of the end zone. The catch was great. Getting the feet down was great. But the throw was sensational. And he and those two guys combined for the Dr. Pepper play of the game. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears, pleasing your taste buds since 1885. Dr. Pepper is a unique combination of 23 flavors, a winning formula that football fans love. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Zero sugar, baby. Strawberries and cream. It's delicious. Really good.
Can you put a little whiskey in there, too?
I put rum in there all the time.
February 1st.
Johnny's on a
dry January.
Yeah, dry January.
We'll see if I can make it 3 weeks.
My guess is no. There's playoff football on the horizon, my friend.
And there's you could do a moist January.
Well, that's not bad. I know a lot of people don't like the word moist, but I like it. I guess I'm going to give it an effort. I hit it hard in between Christmas and New Year's. I hit it hard. And a couple days waking up was a little bit rough. And I'm like, you know what, champ? You might need to just put it neutral for a little bit. A little neutral.
Choke the motor down.
But this isn't neutral. Johnny going cold turkey isn't neutral. It sounds to me like you're swerving from one guardrail to the next. You overplayed your hand for a week or two. Now, all of a sudden, to make it better, you're just going to go full dry January. Why not put it down the middle and have a couple?
Just to make sure I can. It reminds me of my bowling game. One rail to the next rail. As long as it ends up hitting a couple of pins, I'm a happy camper, you know?
Okay. All right. You do you, bro.
Thank you. And you do you. You're already enjoying a scotch tonight.
Not a scotch, just a glass of wine.
Is that white?
I only drink Cabernet.
I couldn't tell from here. My eyes are not so good.
Yeah. Only drink Cabernet. It's not because I'm a snob. It's just because it's the only thing that I like.
I like Pinot Noir.
Not bold enough for me.
Listen, give me a red blend. I can't do white wine.
I can't either.
I can't do white wine.
How about a little rosé in the summer?
It's not buttery by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
I'll do a sangria. You know, if you're at a restaurant and they want to put a sangria together, yeah, it's not so bad. You know, a little something different. Sangria.
Johnny, can I ask you a football question?
Well, go ahead.
What do you make of Jordan Love? Now, let me give you these numbers.
You don't have to, but give it for the people that are watching.
He has thrown so far this year, he has thrown for 3,843 yards and 30 touchdowns. That is already better than any Bears quarterback in the history of this great franchise. That's never had a quarterback throw for 3,843 yards. We've never had a quarterback throw for 30 touchdowns, and this young man up north has done it his first year as a starter.
Who has the Bears single-season record for touchdowns? Mitch?
No.
Mitch had 28, didn't he?
Did he?
26?
No. Yeah, maybe 26. I had 29 in 1 year.
Eric Kramer has the record for passing yards in a season.
Right. Like 38 something or another, or 38
25, something like that.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jordan Love now is going to have a season over 4,000 yards because he'll probably get 200 against the Bears, right?
Yeah.
That'll give you 4,000 yards, something the Bears have never had. He's already at 30 touchdowns, something the Bears have never had. He's not Brett Favre and he's not Aaron Rodgers, but you know what? For not being those two guys, and really, who's the quarterback that's going to come in and be those guys? And you won't know until 10 years to see if Jordan Love can be the quarterback there for 10 years. But he had the luxury of sitting. He had the luxury of being on the bench. He had the luxury of learning. And it looks like they got themselves at least a viable quarterback that you can go out there and you can win games with. Now, Watson, I don't know how great of a game Watson is, and maybe we should leave this for a little bit later. But Jordan Reed's one hell of a player.
Yeah, Jaden Reed.
Jordan Reed from LSU is one hell of a player. I don't know about
Jaden Reed.
Dobbs. I don't know about him yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, like the funny
They
thing
have the youngest team in the National Football League, I believe.
That's
why, for sure.
And by the way, Eric Kramer holds the season record, 29 touchdowns, and he holds the yards. He has them both.
That's why, if you ask me, because of the youth of this team, they're the youngest team in the National Football League. They were starting a quarterback in his first year as a starter, despite the fact he was on the roster for several years.
Worst loss of the season.
I agree with you 100%. It chapped my ass from day one. They came in here and they boat raced us in our building when we were thinking that everything was about to change. And
oh yeah, we were cocksure, weren't we?
Yes. But now, like with that in mind, and look, Justin hasn't had any success against the Packers. He's 0-5, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's got
last quarterback to beat the Packers was who?
To beat the Packers?
Yep.
Trubisky
to clinch the division.
Yeah,
24-17 at Soldier Field.
Can you imagine, though, the statement, the loud statement that our team and our quarterback could make by going up there this weekend?
Oh, my God.
Knocking them off. And let's say Justin outplays Jordan Love. I mean, the NFL season, and Johnny could tell you this as well as anybody, it's a lifetime. Like I said, after the Cardinal game, remember that they played the Cardinals, they beat the Cardinals. They threw for 35 yards in the second half, and I swear to God, you want to burn the film in the second half. A week later, he has his best game as a Bear. They scored 37 points, and now we all feel really good about the direction they're going. What are we going to be saying about our favorite franchise Sunday night and Monday morning? Like, the entire narrative can hinge on one game against your division rival in the last game of the season.
I mean, I've been 6-7, won 3 in a row to find a way to qualify for the playoffs. I've been 4-7, found a way to win 5 in a row, make the playoffs. So, yeah, I've been a part of a team getting better throughout the year where you look like crap early on, but you put something together, you strung a couple of victories together, all of a sudden you get some confidence, all of a sudden you play a little bit better than you actually are, and the next thing you know, you find a way to make the playoffs. Now, the Bears aren't going to make the playoffs. They get a victory against Green Bay, but they will go a long way in finally beating the Packers on the road, and going 3-3 and beating each one of your division opponents this year. And I think that's something important to take into the offseason.
I agree. That was one of my goals I had for them, was to just split with your division. Win one of those games against each of your division rivals. Remember, they were 0-6 last year, right?
Yep.
Correct.
So, like, to be 3-3 would be an enormous step in the right direction.
Well, not only that, but if you look at the list of who they've beaten this year, I'll give you the Lions.
It's not great.
Taylor Heineke and Brian Hoyer. Bryce Young, Sam Howell. And if you want to be the optimist, you go, well, they should have beaten Denver and they should have beaten Cleveland. Or you could be the pessimist and go, Carolina tried to kick a field goal late to tie you. I mean, there were some disappointing games. Sunday, they beat the shit out of Atlanta.
Yeah. But here's the thing. You didn't compete against Green Bay.
No.
You barely competed against Tampa. You didn't compete against Kansas City at all.
I was there.
That was terrible. And then you did compete. You're busting your ass, and you lost another epic game like the year before when you lost to Detroit. So then you start winning some games, and this team's trying to gain some confidence. They're trying to figure out who they are. And then they go through another little lull after winning like 2 of 3. Then they go through a lull. And the next thing you know, they're 2-7 in their first 9 games. And everybody's scratching their head going, what in God's name is going on? Now, if they can go 6-2 in their last 8, I don't care who you played. Because you had to, at 2-7, you had to make a decision on what the hell was going on. Hey, we're not playing well. This isn't going the right direction. We need to get things tightened up. Ryan Poles makes one move. He brings Montez Sweat in here. Him and Ngakoue play one game together, I think, before Ngakoue ends up getting hurt, or maybe the second game. And all of a sudden, the Tez effect, Montez, whatever he brought to that defense, propelled them to another level. So there it was. One move, brought a guy in. It had a much greater effect than Chase Claypool had on the offense. This guy really helped this team gain some confidence.
Johnny, as a defensive lineman who played in the league for a decade, I've heard you say it. I've noticed it. I don't really know what I'm watching when I watch the D-line, but the rookie Dexter has made tremendous progress. What do you see when you watch him play?
I see a young Santana Dotson. That's what I see. A young one.
Wow.
Somebody that can develop. And I'd spend the whole offseason. If Eberflus listens to me at all, most of the times he does not. But if he does, I would take a crap load of Santana Dotson film when he was in Tampa Bay. That guy played the run better than three techniques. Most three techniques do. And he can get after the passer from the three technique position. I want Dexter to be Santana Dotson. Santana was about 6'5", bigger guy, really got in there and had some moves, had a myriad of moves, complimented Gilbert Brown very well. I think Gervin Dexter can be Santana Dotson. That's what I expect out of him. If he falls a little bit short, okay, I think we could still live with that. But he's starting to get after the passer. He's becoming aware, like situational awareness of, okay, this is when I can pin my ears back and go get him. This is when I got to be a little bit wiser. This is something that I haven't seen, and I might want to be a little bit cautious. So, he's getting used to that. I think Pickens could be a little bit of a player too. So I'm not giving up on anybody on that defensive line yet, but they do need. Now I know 95 played well. I still think
pass rusher.
I want an elite guy.
That's Justin Jones.
I like Justin Jones. I think he's a fiery little spitfire in the middle.
And Billings?
Billings, they've already re-signed, so you don't have a choice. I think Jones is the better pass rusher out of the two, and I think Billings can be a little bit more of a disruptive force in the middle because he's got a quick swim in his arsenal, and he can get unencumbered to a ball carrier for a TFL.
All right, we got to take our time out. We'll come back. You are watching Feldco Football Recap Live. That's John Jurkovic. That's Tom Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. We'll be right back. Get your questions in.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4FELDCO. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23. That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Westtown Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings.
All right, we're back on Feldco Football Recap Live with Jurko and Tommy Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. So let's talk about the position Ryan Poles finds himself in. So he sits here, he's locked up, the number 1 overall pick. There is no way if he could go back a year and know how CJ Stroud would pan out, he would still make the trade because I believe that wholeheartedly. You take Darnell right away, you take away the number 1 overall pick, you take away DJ Moore, you take away Tyreek Stevenson, and a 2025 second-round pick. I do not believe he takes CJ Stroud if he could do it all over again. You guys believe he would?
I think I believe if you could go back in time and know, and that's an impossible thing, or it's not impossible, but it's there's a lot of uncertainty attached to it. It's the most important position in sports, Cap. I mean, everything that you just said was very valid. All those guys matter. But if you can find a quarterback that can man that position for a decade and play it at a high level, changes everything. especially on a rookie contract.
But you remember the 83 draft they had and the impact that 83 draft had for the Chicago Bears?
They picked up between undrafted and draft picks, Mark Bortz, Richard Dent, Jimbo Covert, Jay Hilgenberg, Willie Galt. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Hilge got there in 81. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I'd have to go back and take a look at that.
He was a free agent, though.
Yeah, he was a free agent.
Yeah, I said undrafted player.
Yeah, I think he had gotten there 2 years before, but he wasn't there in 83. I mean, he was there obviously in 83, but he got there in 81, I believe. But I might be mistaken. That doesn't matter. He's never going to have to apologize for that trade.
No
matter what C.J. Stroud does, Ryan Poles will never, ever have to apologize because those 4 or 5 players and whatever happens this year, that's going to be the very foundation of how the Bears are built. So could you? It doesn't make a difference because the way he did go about the business is helping build this Bears team, hopefully propelling them to double-digit victories next year.
By the way,
no doubt. Like, I will say,
hold on. Here's the draft: Jimbo Covert, Willie Galt, Mike Richardson, Dave Duerson, Tom Thayer, Pat Dunsmore, Richard Dent, Mark Bortz, Rob Fata, a guard who did play a little bit, and then they signed Hilge. I believe you're right in 81.
Yeah.
Look,
I went over and looked at it one time. Because I was interested of the impact that 83 had. But listen, that's the way it works. Sometimes you get a player a couple of years before, and they end up making a massive impact on what you have going on. All I know, and I don't know when they got Van Horn, but all I know is that once they pieced it all together and Thayer came over from the Chicago Blitz / Arizona Wranglers, they put themselves in a position where they're going to do something special. So
I would never suggest that he needs to apologize for the trade he made. Like, I mean, I thought it was a very good trade, but I'm just suggesting to you that I personally have a very high value for finding a quarterback that can be under center for you for the next 8 to 12 years. Now, look, he made a great trade, and I think he has done some really good things in a short period of time. No general manager is going to have a 100% hit rate. So the trade for Claypool didn't work. The drafting of Velus Jones didn't work. I would say a good, strong 75% of his player moves so far in a short period of time have all been very good decisions. So he is on the correct arc. They also, I'm a firm believer in this as well. Every championship team, regardless of sport, has to have a certain degree of good fortune for you to get to the top of the mountain. Even if you're the best team on the planet, you have to have some good luck. And the fact that this Bears team got the luck that they got, and nobody apologizes for it. Last year, Lovie Smith did us all a favor, correct?
Yeah,
he did.
Then the Carolina Panthers did us another favor by drafting Bryce Young instead of C.J. Stroud, which then means that, if C.J. Stroud is their quarterback and not Bryce Young, now I think that there's a lot more good going on in Houston than there is in Carolina. But I think C.J. Stroud makes a difference to the point where you're probably not picking first overall if you're the Carolina Panthers with Stroud versus Young. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just saying the way it has all unfolded has been tremendously beneficial to our franchise. And that's just part of the climb. Part of the climb is you need some good fortune and some good luck to get to where you need to go.
I'd like to see him Ryan Poles put the Bears in a situation where they've got the same thing next year. They got a second first-round choice because they have the ability to move down. Who's picking 4? There's a team that's picking 4, Washington.
Washington's picking 2 now, aren't they?
Yeah, Washington's up to 2.
Because
New
the
England's
Cardinals
3. Number 4 is Arizona, right?
I thought
and they said they're sticking with Kyler Murray, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they're sticking to 4. 5 is the New York Giants. So if you drop the 5 and the New York Giants want to move up and they want to give you this year, they want to give you next year, they want to give you a second rounder this year, they want to put a package together. You're not going to get Marvin Harrison at 5. Can we all agree with that?
Agreed.
So
I think you could get him at 3 for sure.
Yeah, but who's New England at 3?
New England's at 3. You may get him at 4.
Yeah, you might get him at 3. I think he goes 4. That's where I think he ends up going in the fourth position. I think there's teams there, 1, 2, and 3 that need quarterbacks. Arizona doesn't. The fifth team does. But if the fifth team, the New York Giants, have a quarterback they love, they're going to want to make a move, and they're going to be desperate to make a move to jump in front if they fall in love with one of the quarterbacks that are out there.
Let me ask you a question.
It may be Caleb Williams now, but I don't guarantee it's always going to be Caleb Williams as the number one quarterback coming out.
Let me ask you a question. You do all your meetings. You're the GM, both of you. You do all your meetings. All your guys come in. They're sitting around the big conference room table. Okay, guys, let's build our board. What do we got? Ryan, Caleb Williams is so far and away better, and he's checked every box when we did all our homework. We have to take that guy. But it might affect your locker room if you're wrong. What do you do?
It's not going to affect your locker room. Listen,
Johnny says it might.
Well,
it only affects the locker room if he plays poorly.
Yes.
That's it. It only affects him if it plays poorly. If he comes in and he rocks everybody's socks off, they're going to be going, Justin, who?
Right. Let's not fool ourselves. Our team, I love where they're at and where they're going. They're not the 49ers. So if everyone's getting red-assed and their feelings hurt that a move is made here or there, then guess what? You should have played better. Should have played better, all of you. Because if we're going to still have to make some decisions and propel our team forward.
There's 4 real good teams. There's 4 real bad teams. And right now the Bears are moving up the muck of the 28 teams that are in the middle.
Amen.
And they might be up to the 16th team now, the 18th team, the 17th team. I haven't seen the power rankings. Either way, they're moving up through the muck, okay? And you want to be a team that's going to be at the top of the muck, getting ready to be one of those good teams out there.
Yes.
That's the goal. You're in the muck. Nobody believes that this team is suddenly a Super Bowl contender. They're not there yet, okay? They're just a team in the muck trying to get to the top of the muck. That way they become a good team.
And then the next step is to get out of the muck and be one of the top 4 teams of your conference.
Right.
But right now, there's no delusion that we're not. We're in the middle of the muck. That's where we are, and that's fine.
Driving through it.
Yeah, and that's where you should be a year after you completely tore this thing down. But to go back to your question, Cap, if all of your people come into your office and you are of like mind, and they're pounding the table and they're telling you with all of their heart and football soul that the kid from USC is nobody's a can't miss, but he's head and shoulders better than what we have. Then you make the draft. You pick that kid and you spin Justin for whatever you can. And Justin is valuable.
You spin him before if you're going to take Caleb Williams, you're spinning him before the draft.
Absolutely. Yes.
By the way, Carrie Franklin says, Cap, I'll be in Green Bay Sunday for the first time too, meeting some friends from the Tape Never Lies Network. It's my friends Phil and Shane's show for the Bears-Packers game. Hopefully the Bears win and keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Enjoy the game. And then I want to read you this. Aaron Rodgers was on his highly paid hit on Pat McAfee. You guys know what they pay him to be on that, right?
A lot of money.
They should.
How much do you think they pay him for the season?
$1 million.
$1 million. Yeah. So he's on there today, and they asked him about the Bears and the Packers game. This is his quote. This is their Super Bowl. If they can't beat us, is it a rivalry? Us, he calls it. He's a Jet now. Yes, he said, they can't beat us. Is it a rivalry?
Listen, man. There's no – Johnny could speak to this better than I because, he played there forever. This game means more to look, I know that they win and get in. I'll make an argument that the ramifications of how this game unfolds will reverberate inside Hallis Hall for an extended period of time. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
Like if the Bears lost convincingly, like the first game, that's a problem.
And the quarterback doesn't play well, then what you saw last week at home against the Falcons gets pushed to the side.
A little bit, yes.
If the Bears go up there and beat them and knock them out of the playoffs and Justin outplays Jordan Love, then that's the loudest statement Justin and Matt Eberflus could have ever made over the course of 2023.
And when I made my prediction 5 weeks ago, I said it was predicated upon a victory in Green Bay. If they can do that, I believe they're staying. They're staying. I go, but that victory in Green Bay is a must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you know, inside that building with the ownership, the games against Green Bay mean more to them.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest. Again, we haven't beaten Green Bay in Green Bay in the last 7 tries. So you go up there and beat them, and Justin plays well. I'm telling you, that's the loudest statement they could make.
I'm going to be in blue and orange, ready to freaking go, man.
You'll have fun up there. It's a great atmosphere. The people are nice up there. They're not going to treat you poorly. So just know that. Don't think they're going to want to be combative. They're not. They're wonderful ladies and gentlemen up there.
What I heard.
They will help you. They will help you with whatever you need when you're up there. So you asked about the rivalry. Does the nail have a rivalry with the hammer? No, the hammer just hits the nail into the board, and that's the way it is. The Bears right now are the nail until they prove different. Until they get.
That's what Green Bay used to be in the 80s.
Yeah, it used to be. Not no more.
All right, time for our Vienna Eye on the Opponent, brought to you by my friends at Vienna Beef. Folks, if you're getting ready for Sunday, get your orders in tonight at viennabeef.com. Use this code CAP, KAP23 at checkout. Get 15% off your order today. My favorites, the Chicago-style hot dog kit, viennabeef.com. It's a great way to watch the games throughout the playoffs, the Super Bowl. It's awesome. All right, the Packers are trying to see if they can lock up a playoff berth. The Bears, as Tommy just said, trying to make the loudest statement they can make. Jordan Love's probably going to go over 4,000 yards, and we'll see how many touchdowns he throws for. But I'm convinced they're going to extend his contract. They have him for another year on a 2-year deal. Why would you not extend him? If you truly believe in him and his numbers say they do, why would you not extend this dude when the season ends? You guys agree?
Well, I think what's the number? I mean, look, if he's looking for a $250 million bag and he's coming off a loss to the Bears where our quarterback outplays is there, like on that front, I think that, you know, that could play a role as well. I think that before you give him $250 million or whatever the going rate is for the top quarterbacks now, you probably want to see another year of that. Make sure it's not just a flash.
Yeah, I'd want to see a little bit more, but I think he's answered the question of can he play quarterback in the league? I think that's a resounding yes.
I agree.
Then it's like, where do you put him? Where do you slot him from quarterback 1 to 10? You don't make him the highest paid quarterback in the league by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
If you can find some common ground and people can agree, I think they can sign to a contract extension. It just depends how much. And that's it. If he can fit him in at 43 to 44 million a year, 45, okay. But that's the going rate. When the salary cap gets up to 270 million, 20% of the cap's 54 million. Yeah, they're going to have the quarterback that says I'll take 22 million and call it a day.
Those days are over.
Yeah, they're going to have space too. Remember, I think after this year, Aaron's money comes off the books, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
As we've said, they're the youngest team in the National Football League, so a lot of guys are playing on minimal contracts.
Not this offseason. The next offseason is when they get the big savings coming back.
So maybe that's when they, or maybe midway through next year, they have that conversation. But
so give me the keys to a Bears victory over Green Bay. Obviously, we could say don't turn the football over.
Right.
I just think you got to be able to run the football effectively to set everything else up.
Well, especially with the Bears and the way they want to do things. So the Bears, their version of complementary football is be able to run the ball, not turn over the ball, right? Run the ball, not turn over, and be effective on third downs. And that includes quarterback running and him being able to pick up third down conversions. That's their version of complementary football. That's what they want to do. And play solid defense. For them, that's we're doing something here. I like it when they take their shots downfield. I like more of a vertical passing game. I like passes going down the field. If they're going to go to the perimeter, I don't mind. I don't want them at the line of scrimmage. That's not where I want to see them. This is not a good slip screen team. They're not a good screen team, the Chicago Bears. So stay the hell away from it and let your defense provide you with the opportunities. They've been playing better. This is not the same defense. So you play great defense. You control the clock. You grind it out. You keep their defense on the field. You keep Jordan Love and the offense off the field.
Yeah, there's two things I would look for, guys. First of all, I still believe that Jordan Love has an accuracy problem, and I'm sure Green Bay fans would tell me I'm full of shit, which I am most of the time. I think you can pressure him into throwing the ball up, and then it's up to you to take the ball away. He's been fantastic the last half of the season. I'm not ignoring that. I still believe you can force him into a few mistakes, and our team has taken the ball away via the interception better than anyone in the National Football League. I believe we have 22, and the 49ers have 21, so the Bears have more interceptions than anybody. I think to beat them up there, you're going to have to fluster their quarterback, try to get to him, and try to take the ball a little bit, take the ball away from them a little bit. And offensively, you are who you are. You got to definitely try to run the football. Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, is much maligned. They have not been good. They were much better against the Vikings, but the Vikings were starting a rookie quarterback this past week. I don't think it's a good defense. I don't know what the status of Jair Alexander is going to be. As Johnny said, you got to push it downfield. I think that what we saw this past Sunday was a little bit of Justin Fields in his last home game of the 2023 season, just cutting it loose and saying, you know what? I'm going to let it fly. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to play free. I'm going to play without any, concern about turning the ball over. And he just kind of let it go. And I think he's got to take the same approach up there. I'm not saying be reckless, but what I'm saying is do what Johnny said. Push the ball downfield and make sure you take advantage of some of the open looks that you're going to get. Don't be hesitant. Be confident. Push it downfield. Don't try to throw it 45 times. You're not Air Coryell. But when you get chances, take them.
All right, if I had to ask you, the little thing we had with the eye on the enemy said Drake London was the leading receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Now, we know that's not true because he played last week.
Right, it was a typo.
If you could tell me, if I ask you, who are the three leading receivers for the Green Bay Packers?
I'll say
Ed Reed is one.
Yeah, Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs is two.
Dobbs.
And Aaron Jones.
No,
Aaron Jones has been hurt.
He's been banged up.
I will say is Wicks.
A guy named Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks has got 500 yards receiving for this team.
Listen,
nobody has got over 700 yards on this team.
And Christian Watson's been banged up all year.
Yeah. Well, Christian Watson's got about, I think it looked like 300 yards receiving. He's only got 20 some odd receptions. Yeah. So those are your three wide receivers that are making a little bit of noise for the Green Bay Packers. But they spread the ball around.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to get the football. So, 29, 33, 6'9", they're going to have to be at their very best. All those guys in the defensive backfield are going to have to find a way to play. And when Jalen Johnson went out last week, 32 stepped into the game and played his ass off.
Yes.
So I think it's a good sign. This Bears defense is different than the team we saw with the first game of the year. The Green Bay Packers are going to be facing a much better defense.
Yeah, Aaron Jones ran roughshod till he hurt his hamstring against the Bears. He was on his way to a career night. This is a much different defense.
It's a different defense that they'll face. There's no question. Personnel's different. Their swagger's different. Their confidence level is different.
Yes.
Look, if I was playing against this team, I would slant and go them all day long because our guys are going to jump routes. Yeah. And they're doing it because they're really confident right now. If you go back and look at the Atlanta film, Atlanta had two opportunities in the first quarter to hit touchdown passes. And
they overthrew
them. Taylor Heineke just couldn't get it done. But if you attack them down the field vertically, you've got a better chance against them if you try to slant them and hitch them and curl them to death because they're going to sit on routes. That's who they are right now.
Okay, let me ask you guys this prediction time in terms of score. Are we looking at a high-scoring game? I think Green Bay's a 2-point favorite, something like that right now. I'll get the latest line. Where are you on what we're looking for at this game? Because I am going to get my feet wet with my PointsBet app and then head up to the Cheddar Curtain where you can't gamble and sit back there and hopefully be talking trash all game long.
I've got the Bears 24-19.
I would pick the Bears.
Imagine if they go into Lambeau and beat the shit out of the Packers. Oh, my God.
24-19, I got it.
27-23 Bears. I think that this Bears team, I think that they're going to be jacked up and ready to play. I think you're going to get their best effort. I think you've got a quarterback that's playing much looser, or at least he played looser against the Falcons, and it was to his benefit. I hope he plays with the same type of approach against the Packers. I think this is a winnable game. I think the Packers are still trying to find out who they are. I think this is the first time they get a win in 8 tries up there at Lambeau.
Line is now 3. Green Bay -3. Total is 44. And the Bears, a tasty +140 on the money line.
I just think if the Packers take this Bears team for granted because they've dominated them in the past, they're making a mistake.
Yeah, they'll be in trouble.
This is a different Packers team, and it's a different Bears team.
I'll promise you this. I'll make a prediction. And I think one of our commenters said this as well, if the Bears win and it's cinched with a couple minutes left, Lambeau Field's going to break out in chants of "We Want Fields" like we saw at Soldier Field.
I don't think so.
The Bears fans will are you out of your mind?
Well,
We want Favre. You'll hear a chance of "We want Favre."
Yeah. The Bears fans will go nuts. We love Fields.
That's fine, Cap, but this ain't SoFi. Like the majority of the people in that building will still be Packer fans.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of freaking Bears fans.
There's 80,000 seats in that stadium now. A lot of seats.
Yeah.
Used to be 60 when I was there. They got 20,000 more seats in there now.
How many Bears fans do you think will be in there?
I would say 25,000.
Yeah, we can get noisy now.
That still means there's 55,000 Packer fans.
Right.
I'm going to be cocktailing. I'm ready to go.
What's that mean? 2 drinks for you? You'll probably be asleep in the second half.
2 drinks and a Fresca.
You know what? I'm going to be loud, and I'm going to be into it, man. Oh, never been there. I can't wait. Went to the Chiefs game. It was over 8 seconds into it.
Yeah. You'll enjoy it up there. The atmosphere will be fun. It'll be cold.
It's all right. We're down low. I think I'm in row 17 at the 18-yard line.
Yeah,
that's
where
not bad.
Where the rich people sit.
Yeah, no kidding. Once he gets to his lake house in Wisconsin.
Yeah. That's it.
You're going to snowmobile across Lake Winnebago?
Right up the lake, baby.
Right up the Fox River.
All right. Guys, thank you for your time tonight. Jurko, loved having you out, man. We got to have you back.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Absolutely. For Jurko, for Tommy, for our great crew, this has been another edition of Feldco Football Recap live for Jurko and Tommy. Take that.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with the decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4FELDCO. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23. That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Westtown Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings.